So right now, this is Bang Worldwide, myself, Dan Blake. On the line, I have, DJ Solar, producer, DJ, and also a DJ and producer to the one and only Guru. How you doing, sir?
I'm great, Dan, and big up to all my UK brethren and all my UK peoples, man. What up?
It's great to have you, man. I just want to get straight into things, man. I've got a lot of questions for you, and and so of the worldwide listeners, all locked into the show, ready for this. I just want to know, how have you been since the passing of Guru? I know it must have been a very hard, losing a friend and an MC you worked with over the years.
I mean, it was even beyond friendship. We were like brothers, we were brothers from different mothers, and we were business partners, and of course, producer and artist relationship. It's just a loss that can't really be described. So, it's just a tremendous loss, not only for me, but for the world and all his fans. His contributions are massive, So, I did what I think most people could understand. I took some time off, I took a year and change just to properly mourn him, It just wasn't comfortable for me to be out there exploiting his death, and I knew what Guru wanted, and he imparted that upon me, and I move forward with that now. I think now's the time that to bring that forward and to do things according to the way he wanted, and to do things according to my own career, how my career has progressed.
Yeah. I would like to know what you've been up to music-wise.
Well, right now, I'm moving forward with my career, so I'm working on new albums. I'm working on a solo album for myself. I'm working with some really big rock and roll people, multi-platinum rock and roll Hall of Famers. So I'm venturing out into some different areas musically, and as well as developing talent for the 7 Grand label, which me and Guru started, 7 Grand Records. So we're developing talent for that, and there should be a new Jazzmatazz album in the offings.
It's great stuff. I just want to know, will there be, you're talking about the Jazzmatazz albums, the Guru and Solar material to come out, or coming out, unreleased vocals, you just sent me the Real MC track produced by your, by a producer from Holland, with you on the hook. Yeah, tell us about, what's coming out material-wise there, between, Guru's vocals and your productions, anything we ain't heard that could be coming out very soon.
Well, that's a leak, and he's a producer from the Netherlands, and he came to my attention. He sent me some material, and I really dug it. So I put together a little track for him that is more than likely going to be released as a part of a Jazzmatazz, larger Jazzmatazz offerings, and I think there's some other things that will be happening with that in the Netherlands. So of course, you being in Europe, I'm like, let me give you a quick leak on that. But as Guru progressed with his career, and we progressed with 7 Grand Records, we had a new Jazzmatazz record slated, and we had already recorded that album prior to him, getting that terrible disease, cancer. So this was something that, we had intended to do, and something that he wanted to do. And of course, as many people know, when you die from cancer, there's a period of time that that transpires between the time that you were diagnosed and the time that you actually pass. So me and Guru had more than enough time to really kind of plan out what he wanted to have done with the material that we recorded, as well as 7 Grand Records, as well as his larger catalog of Jazzmatazz and Gang Starr. So a part of that was really his love and heart was in Jazzmatazz, as most people know and remember that's what me and Guru were doing. For the last years of his life, last 10 years of his life, we were working on Jazzmatazz and really developing the Jazzmatazz brand. And in doing so, we're bringing in the Gang Starr fans who are equally, because when Jazzmatazz and Gang Starr first arrived on the scene, it was almost like split personalities. You had your Gang Starr fans, your hardcore Gang Starr fans. You had your hardcore, well, not hardcore, but you had your Jazzmatazz fans. And kind of Guru split himself between those two projects. But when we started 7 Grand, we kind of realized that 7 Grand was really the bringing together of all of that. The Jazzmatazz fan base, the Gang Starr fan base, which is the larger fan base, and making an environment where everybody could come and really enjoy good hip-hop with a band, because as those of you who came to see Jazzmatazz, we rocked with a band. Yeah, so that was the concept of Jazzmatazz, and something that Guru felt that, close to 50 years old, he was 48 years old when he passed, that was something that he could tour out for the rest of his life. As you guys certainly know, in Europe, these jazz cats, they stay rocking over there, you know what I mean? Yeah. And as we're speaking about it, R.I.P. to Dr. Donald Byrd, who was a mentor to Guru.
Definitely get into that, definitely.
Guru was... was well renowned and well respected within that genre.
Yeah, you know, you had you're talking about, you know, the Jazzmatazz, you know, projects. I caught on YouTube a classic track, Guru featured Craig David, I Don't Love You No More. You know, caught the live version of that, man, out in I think it was on it was on the Giles Peterson show, I think, out here, and it was incredible just to see that live, and Guru in the motions doing his thing live with that, you know. So yeah, definitely around the world, Guru was rocking it live also. You know, Jazzmatazz 5 then, could we be expecting that, you know, sometime real soon?
Well, that's the goal, and you know, we're still putting some touches on it, and you know, just polishing the production, still adding some features to it. So I would say yes. I would say within you know, within some period of time that we would be looking at a new Jazzmatazz release, recording.
Fantastic. You know, Guru was known as the king of monotone, the teacher. You know, his words inspired so many, including myself. How did Guru, you know, make a track in the studio? Take us through, you know, Guru coming to you in the studio. You're about to cook up some new music. Take us through that process. We really want to know, you know, how you lot rocked, man.
Well, you know, most people that follow Guru can realize that he was an exceptional talent, and his influences varied, you know, and that's what made Jazzmatazz such a brilliant concept and such a brilliant brand and legacy. So that in mind, that's where kind of we connected most on his broad range of musical influences, because I have a broad range of musical influences. I'm born and raised here in New York, and I was here. I consider myself a part of the creation of hip-hop, the hip-hop culture.
Yes,
you know?
Of course.
I'm as pure as it gets, you know what I mean? I was born right into it, and I came at the generation that was there. That was the ones that were making it happen. And I was in all the places where it was happening, the Bronx, Harlem, Brooklyn, and each borough, and I was well-traveled within the New York area, each borough had their own specific style of hip-hop and different levels of success, even within that early stages, you know. So Manhattan and Bronx got a lot of attention, but Brooklyn, where I was from at that time, Bushwick and Bed-Stuy, not far from Marcy Projects, which of course is famous for Jay-Z, that whole area was equally you know, a creative spawning ground for hip-hop, but it was a different style of hip-hop. And of course, now we know we've had the greats come out of Brooklyn, Biggie being one, and you know, the newer artists, but you had Dana Dane, and you had Slick Rick, and so on. So the idea of Seven Grand and Guru was keeping that, you know, keeping that rich influence for me, because Guru was from Boston, so you know, he got, you know, if you look at interviews, he'll say, you know, we got it later. So if I came to New York, and then you know, went out to the United States, and of course you guys overseas also got it a little bit later than the cats in the States. But you know, I was there. I was the one making it happen, and I know all of that culture, and so I carried all of that with me into the project, and in doing so, the project just became infused with that element of hip-hop. So when me and Guru would sit down to do something, we would just bring all of our ideas to the table, whether we're doing something very futuristic that you would hear on the 8.0 album, or doing something current like 7.0, or doing something in our minds very futuristic, and at the same time going back to the roots, so to speak. And that's why you have Jazzmatazz, which is our classic album, Jazzmatazz 4, Back to the Future. And that's the meaning of the record, how we took what was the root of it and then took it to the next level, to the future.
You know, Donald Byrd passed away, you know, collaborator on Loungin', a mentor to Guru, was instrumental in the success of Guru. Tell us, you know, why they connected and gelled so well.
Yeah, Dr. Donald Byrd was a great influence to Guru. A great influence. And, you know, and he lived a great life. You know, he lived a long, great life. But that his one song, the classic song that Guru and him did, Lounge, is one of my favorites.
Classic record. What do you know, Guru passed away, you know, he left a lot of wisdom within his rhymes that inspired, you know, many people, and still does inspire people. If you could take something away, you know, from all of his rhymes, you know, what he put down on this earth, you know, what would you say he would want to be, the legacy he would want to be known as and left as, you know, to sum him up in like a few words?
You know, we talked about that in actuality, and you know, there's a wealth of information that's actually, you know, it really is a book. It really is a movie to really fully grasp what Guru's impact is and what he wants it to be. But to kind of keep it in the time frame of what we're working with here, Guru envisioned a world where a man was credited for what a man did, and he had a very fair, equality-minded approach to everything. And unfortunately, we don't live in a world where that's necessarily so. And some of his greatest disappointment was that his music and the scope of it and the way that he kept it in his mind real. Guru never rapped about limousines. He never rapped about Rolls Royces or Lamborghinis. He never rapped about big butt broads. You know, if he did, he was saying, you know, he was showing you the reality or the pitfalls of such. You know what I mean? And he felt that when others would come and get so much attention and adulation put on them, while his music had such a much more credible and even influence. Because when you look at compilations, there wasn't really compilations as you know them until Jazzmatazz.
Definitely.
Jazzmatazz really was the first time you saw this kind of mixing and matching of artists, and then later that became the standard in hip-hop.
But it was an incredible selection.
That's right. Guru was the first person to bring a hip-hop DJ into a live band scenario. Nobody ever did that before, and it's standard now. It's standard. Even these new cats are rocking with a band with a DJ. You know what I mean? So these are the type of situations that Guru, being a man who believed in fairness and equality, really believed with me. Certainly when we got together, I said, listen, man, I don't think that any obstacle is too massive to climb or to get over. It's just an obstacle. If we keep chipping at it and we keep working at it, you'll get the credit and adulation that you deserve. And I think that's a part of my mission now. That's what Guru's true legacy is to bring attention to how great he was. Not any controversy surrounding his death, not who he was favorited to in life, who he liked or who he stopped liking, or who he was with or who he was not with. That's irrelevant. What's really relevant is the man's contributions to music and to world culture, because he was an ambassador, and anybody who had a chance to meet Guru, they knew he was a sweetheart. He was a sweetheart, and he had a kind word for everybody, and he was a beautiful dude, and he should be remembered as such. And that's what I move forward with, you know, understanding what Guru meant, what he contributed, because having the Gang Starr element with him gave him that level of street cred that made Jazzmatazz that much more important, because you don't have anything like that in hip hop. I don't think there's anything like that in music, period. Where you have a guy, an artist that's so grounded in one area and had phenomenal success in one area, and then flip it completely into a whole nother genre, because there was no Jazzmatazz until Guru made it. He created the genre of hip-hop jazz, and Jazzmatazz will always be the premier brand for jazz hip-hop. There's nothing greater, or will be nothing greater, than Jazzmatazz as far as hip-hop jazz is concerned.
What was like the funniest moment you had with Guru? Just a funny time.
Guru had so many funny moments, man. It's really hard to say.
Give us one of the picks of the bunch.
He is very absent-minded. I call him the absent-minded professor a lot of times. And he was known for leaving a ticket somewhere. So we'll be on the tightest schedule you could imagine to catch a flight, and we're missing a ticket.
Oh, wow.
And we got to convince somebody in that airport, this man is important. You got to get us on a flight, man. This was on a constant.
Oh, wow. You know, tell us one place around the world.
But I will tell you one real funny story. This one's hilarious. Okay, this is kind of a Guru story, but it's kind of a me story. But it's kind of how things went with me and Guru. It was always something funny happening. We played a show in L.A., Los Angeles, and it was like one of the real hot spot Hollywood in spots with all the stars, and then carry on and hang out. So the promoter who brought us in, she really didn't fill us in on what the ins and outs was, more than just gonna go in and do a quick appearance, do one or two sonings, and we're promoting an album, and we've done that 100 times in Hollywood. So we get backstage, and she's like, okay, well, as we're going out, she says, well, say what's up to Prince. And she says it in that very casual way. Me and Guru thinking Prince, you know how many Princes I know? I know about 1,000 Princes. So I'm thinking Prince is some promoter in her network, or some Hollywood, you know, little shaker dude, little promoter dude, or, you know, in-scene dude. I'm not thinking it's the Prince. So I go out on stage and I go, big up to my Prince in the building, hold it down, G. So we go on, we do the show, we walk on stage. Who's sitting in the VIP in the back of the stage? It's Prince.
The one and only. Wow.
You talk about a moment where you're like, huh?
Hey, that's a big moment there. What did he say? Did he say anything?
Yeah, me and Guru both looked at each other because Guru thought the same thing I thought. Yeah. And you know, so Guru walks over to him. He's like, oh, cool. He's giving Guru knuckle love. And I'm thinking he doesn't know that I didn't know it was him. So he's thinking this is the way I was really talking about him. He liked it.
No, he liked it. He was thinking it. Yeah.
He's like, that's cool. Nobody ever did that. And you know what? He's right, because if I would have known it was him, it would have been the most cornball thing you ever heard before. And you're like, oh, man, my legend Prince is in the building. I love that guy. Man, there's a million stories like that.
You hear that Bang Worldwide? Classic story there, you know. Tell us one place around the world you toured with Guru, you know, greatest memory from touring, you know, because I know you've been to many countries and places, you know.
Yeah, we've been around the world. That's a fact. We've been in corners of this planet I didn't even know existed, for real. You know, it's a very little known spot called Tenerife in the Canary Islands. And we did a gig out there, and if I had the bread, if he had the bread, we would have stayed. Beautiful, right off, you know, near Africa, on the coast of Spain. Oh, it's just a beautiful place. I mean, just gorgeous. They got pyramids out there, the whole nine. I was like, wow. And we both just really kind of. The thing was with Jazzmatazz, with me and Guru, we had toured spots that Guru had never been to. Now here I am touring with a man that's really been around the world quite a few times, but we were really getting booked in exotic locations, and that was one of the most exotic, and he got a kick out of that, and you know, I got a kick out of it. But on the strength, to keep it 100 with you, D, we love coming to London, man. Always a big time in London town. Oh, loved it.
You know, talking about London, I think, you know,
I mean, we very rarely book a tour in Europe, and matter of fact, let me not even say rarely. I don't think there's a time that we ever came to Europe and didn't make a stop in London, you know, or in England somewhere. You know, if not London, Cornwall, or Manchester, or you know, Bristol, somewhere.
Yeah, crazy.
And then our favorite stomping grounds, of course, was Camden Lock. So whenever we came into town, we always made sure we got our hotel in Camden Lock. We liked it over there.
Yeah, you know, that's where you know, I was at the Covent Garden show, you know, one of Guru's last shows out here, you know, and it was kind of funny how online we was talking about that, and yeah, we was reminiscing about that, a bit about that show also, man. That was a good day. That was a nice day of hip-hop, man.
That's another funny story. That's a me funny story. We get to the show and I look around like, where's the stage?
It's all out there, straight in the shop, man. Hardcore.
Go stay in the middle of people and rap.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, man. It's all good.
That was a brilliant night. Loved it. Never did anything like that. But it was fun.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why Guru came up with that song, you know, Suckers Need Bodyguards. Me and Guru never believed in that, man. We were men of the people. No matter where we went around the world, we never had a bodyguard, never thought about a bodyguard. Matter of fact, even if they try to give us, you know, somebody to stay with us, whatever, we tell them, look, we're men of the people, man. We go out there with the people. And, you know, there's certain things when you grow up in New York, it's such a melting pot, and you just learn to get along with people, man. You know, if you're a real dude, you find out people will respect that.
Real talk. You know, in the Jazzmatazz projects, collaboration-wise, I want to talk, you know, how did you, Damian Marley collaborations, Common collaborations, and the UK's own Omar, how did those come about? Wow.
And those are three great stories. Damian Marley, we were in Jamaica. Me and Guru vacation in Jamaica quite often. Matter of fact, I own land in Jamaica, so big up all of my Jamaican posse.
Big up.
You know, so that's one of our favorite places in the world. So we're in Jamaica and we're kicking back, and you know, we're putting that lovely stuff in the air and just having a beautiful time. So we're at a DJ mashup, and the DJ puts on a song, And for those who haven't been in Jamaica, it's like what I'm talking about is like the DJs will come out and two DJs and they'll battle and they'll just put some big giant speakers up, and it was like in a park, like a open area. So I'd never really been to. I've been to something like things like this in the States when hip hop first came out, but I'd never been like anything like that in Jamaica. So we're really just enjoying everything. And he put on this song, and it was like Damian Marley. I was like, wow. And Guru was like, wow, what is that? And like we went over and asked him and said it was Damian. Like, okay. So Guru had worked with the Marley family in the past, and did Chant Down Babylon, and he knew all of them. So we reached out to Damian and we talked to him and told him about the project, and he was excited. He got excited, and this was before Stand Up hit the charts. I mean, pardon me, this is before his the first hit that he had. What was that hit again?
I'm trying to think.
I don't know why it's skipping my mind, and that's one of my favorite songs. And it came out around the same time, 2006.
Trying to get there. My memory's done a blank as well.
Yeah, mine too. But so it was really before Damian came to the States and had his breakout single, Welcome to Jamrock.
Yeah.
So it was Welcome to Jamrock. It was before Welcome to Jamrock, and we had heard an early version of Welcome to Jamrock and some other stuff that he was working on out in Jamaica, and we knew that the stuff was just fire. You know what I mean?
Fire.
So when we reached out to Damian, just a beautiful brother, man. I mean, you could tell they're big up to the whole Marley family. You could just see where the apples didn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
All those cats are just phenomenal. You know what I mean? So it was nothing but love. It's just a beautiful, beautiful connection, and the product speaks for itself, man. That collaboration is to me just hip hop classic. It just one of the best mashups of hip hop and jazz and Guru that you're ever gonna hear.
Yeah, man. That's a nice track, man. Beautiful music.
And then of course Common, Common and Guru, kind of those two names will get mentioned in a lot of musical circles together.
Of course.
Their styles and their social conscience and their music, the bald heads.
Bald head slick. Yes.
I mean, those two guys went together. I couldn't believe, and I know Common, I know Guru, of course. I couldn't believe that they didn't work on nothing before I came along.
Oh man!
I'm like, what's wrong with this picture?
Yeah.
So that was a no-brainer. I'm like, we got to get Common on this record. Common and Guru, the fans are waiting for this. And then of course the pressure was on me to come up with a song, a track that was going to be befitting, something that was going to be historic.
And you done
it, what route do I go? How do I do this? And I went to one of the most unsung heroes in hip-hop history, believe it or not, is Bob James, an old jazz cat. You know what I mean? And that's the basis of the track. And I got Bob James himself, of course, the master, the legend, icon, to get involved with the project. And for those of you who don't know, any DJs or producers out there, just fans, Bob James is one of the most sampled cats in the history of hip-hop. Welcome to the Mardi Gras has been sampled too many times to count by every major hip-hop star almost. And all of his other stuff has been sampled.
That was a great fact right there.
Yeah, man. So and if that doesn't do it enough, then I went and I directed the video and added the animation from the 70s to the video. So State of Clarity again, and all this being done in a time where people, where this is where the fundamental strength of 7 Grand comes in, because if we were on a major, I could have never gotten this done.
Yeah.
A major label, they want everything to be radio, everything's got to sound, a certain kind of way. The level of creativity and freedom that we brought to the table was beyond the scope of anything we could have gotten done on a major. And that's the brilliance of the 7 Grand catalog. You're literally listening to music that has been untampered with. It's undiluted, unmixed in any form. It's pure Guru and Solar. And if it doesn't sound like certain things, well, it's not supposed to sound like that. Yeah. There's been Guru did 4 albums of Gang Starr material. We weren't going to sit there and try to do Gang Starr better. Nobody's going to get Gang Starr better than Guru. You know what I mean? Than Premier. That's it. So.
You had your new track, The Real MC, Guru, yourself and the hook. Tell us about the producer.
Well, This is a cat from the Netherlands. He's done some work with like I said, his name is Stennis. He did work with the Wu-Tang. He did work with some other cats, and he's really a diamond in the rough. He caught my attention. He hit me on social media, and just so everybody knows, I do check my social media, and I do interact. So if you send me a Twitter link to your SoundCloud, and you hear back from me, you got something. If you didn't, well, it doesn't mean you're whack. It just means it may not be something I'm not into yet. But
keep trying.
That's right, keep trying. And I checked his SoundCloud, and I heard some stuff. I was like, all right, this dude sounds like he's got something happening. So we talked, and I told him it's not easy. Don't get it twisted. I had this guy sending me tracks and tracks and tracks, but I popped one downloaded MP3 and took a listen to one track. I'm like, that one, that's the one that we did. I'm like, I like that. That's hot. And I had stuff in the studio that really fit that, and we put it together, and I think it's a hot song. Not only am I on the hook, I'm on the second verse.
Yep. So you got to big up and look out for that track playing on my show on Bang Worldwide.
Yeah, a lot of cats don't know I rap. You know what I mean? Got to keep that in their ear. They think DJ Solar. They don't realize DJ Solar puts down at 16s. You know what I mean?
Yep, you heard it first. Solar with the 16 bars of fire. Yes. Right. Any other artists you're working with now? You bring some names to the forefront.
Well, we've got some new talent that I'm developing in the offings, and like I said, I'm working with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So as we're moving along, we're adding features and adding different musicians and stuff to the product. So things are moving forward, as well as other media projects. I'm looking at some scripts and very heavily promoting the catalog. 7 Grand is a hugely slept on catalog, the stuff that me and Guru did. And of course, when Guru passed, the attention was going to fall on the dominant catalog, which is Gang Starr, which is sure, because Gang Starr came first. But now that people kind of really fully have went through and analyzed the Gang Starr catalog, now they're coming into more of the Jazzmatazz and the 7 Grand stuff. So we're seeing a lot of attention in social media in the albums, especially Jazzmatazz 4. And it's starting to get the kind of attention that really, honestly, just makes me glow. You know what I mean? I couldn't be prouder and happier to see the fans, getting around to it, and big up.
That's great stuff. You just let the people know how they can keep in contact with you,
sure.
Solar.
Yes, you can hit me up on my Twitter, which is Solar Official. The same for Facebook, Facebook Solar Official, and you can hit us on the YouTube, which is our YouTube channel, 7 Grand Records. And anything you pop up on YouTube and you see 7 Grand on the bottom, just click on it, take you right to the channel, and it's all happening right there. Interviews, this interview will be up. Interviews, vintage interviews of me and Guru. You can almost follow the history of 7 Grand really on the YouTube channel.
That's great stuff. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, just before you leave, I just want to know, out here in the UK, there's a lot of hot talent. Is there any names that's ringing in your bells?
I don't want to just say any one artist, because there's so much new stuff happening out there that I'm digging. So I'm just going to say I'm really feeling the whole UK scene, and it's not only just the music scene, but you guys are doing really good things in movies too. A lot of nice independent movies coming out of the UK. So I don't want to just say any one cat. I'm just going to say I'm really, really feeling the new batch, the new wind of UK artists. Definitely hot stuff. Definitely.
All right. Thank you, Solar. Appreciate it, man.
And it's been a pleasure, D. And, again, to all my UK brethren, hold it down. And, the Guru legend, the legacy goes forward, and it's a part of musical history. So anybody who's listening, take your time, hit YouTube, hit the social media and see what Guru's all about. And while you're at it, check me out.
All good.